Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. James Smith Jr., and welcome to another edition of the Dr. James Show. I'm glad you can make it. I hope you brought some people with you and get ready for another informational and transformational experience. But before we dive in with our guest, Steve Bollar, it's time for a little alumni love. Hey, everybody. It's Dr. James here with another edition of Alumni Love. Now, you know, on the Dr. James Show, we love our alumni hard. And we have one today, Michael Leone. What's up, man?
I am doing great, Dr. James. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I feel the passion. You're looking good. So tell us, what have you been doing since your appearance on the Dr. James Show? What's hot?
Absolutely. The last 2 years, I have been working on a project that COVID has sidelined, and it's something that I've been stressed about and nervous about. And last week, I had the opportunity to present at an expo for a day on conflict and rapport and connection, and it was fantabulous. It was one of those things where I finished and walked out the door, and they asked me to come back next year.
Yes.
So it was fantastic. And the day before, I was taking the 5-hour drive there, and I had this moment where I was like, you know, I have to do something tomorrow, the day of the presentation, that makes the last 2 years worth of anxiety worth it. So I just let it go, and I tapped back into what I do best, and I had a blast, and the trainees seemed to have a blast as well.
Something tells me when you drove home, you were saying, "This is how we do."
Yes, for sure.
Michael, all the best. Please stay in touch, all right?
Absolutely, Dr. James. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
We love our alumni. We love our guests, actually. Our guest, Steve Bollar, let me tell you a little bit about him, because I thought I was nonstop work. I think Steve has me beat. He's an author. He's a speaker. He's an educational thought leader. He's a former superintendent of schools. He's a school culture and motivational expert. And before we bring Steve out, let's take a look at this clip and let Steve tell you about being Steve Bollar and standing tall.
The world of education will never be the same again. We have realized that learning can take place in multiple different ways. Therefore, leadership, systems, and guidance must be different. Now, coming into this new paradigm has completely illuminated multiple new challenges that we have not seen in the past. Now, as educational leaders, don't we want our students to continually grow, our staff to continually grow, our community to continually grow? As a former teacher, principal, and superintendent, the one thing that I know is that the greatest satisfaction I've ever was able to feel was to look back and to connect with former students, seeing the growth in their lives. I think every educator would love to have had that level of impact and influence. In order to do that, we need to develop and implement ideas that work. We need to create the learning environments that strengthens those new ideas and concepts. We need to maximize leadership so teams, they stand tall together to empower others to make these ideas work. Now, I've been in education for over 25 years, 17 years as a school principal and superintendent. I have seen the difference between organizations that are just compliant-driven versus those that are commitment-driven. I don't know about you, but I have never seen a school, district, or organization anywhere be outrageously successful just being compliant. It takes commitment to the vision to truly have success. Now, here's the deal. I get called all the time to schools, districts, and organizations to help them move from compliance to commitment. If we never get the leaders, teachers, support staff, and community to see and implement the vision, we will never truly change the climate and culture from a compliance mindset to that commitment mindset.
Love it, love it, love it. Stand tall, Steve. Welcome to the Dr. James Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, there he is. I am good. I am good. More than excited to get in here, get gym packed in, help people stand tall. I'm excited about it.
Time to stand tall. Before we go there,
Mm.
I've seen you speak with your traditional background. You're not in your studio. Where are you?
No, I am not. I'm a Jersey guy. I live in New Jersey and such, but right now I'm in Rochester, New York at Franklin Lower School. I'm out working with students. I'm working with an administrator. I'm working with the students, working with the teachers. And so I said to them, hey, I got this event. We have somewhere. So they put me up in here. I'm working here. You could tell this is a school background. I am on site right now.
I love the background. No virtual, no bully zone, on site.
Yeah, no bully. Yeah, I got school lunch pictures. I mean, it's the whole nine here, right?
So you get it in at schools, you get it in at conferences, you get it in on stage. Where else do you teach people how to stand tall?
All over the place. I work with nonprofit organizations. I was working with a health organization for mental health, and they wanted to work with their staff and help them do better. I've worked with anything in the youth industry. Now, understand what I'm saying. Yes, I do speak to youth, but I work with organizations that service youth. So I'm multiple different organizations such as that, as well as some corporate. I've done some corporate areas. I spoke before with the National Adhesive Association with glues and adhesives. So leadership is leadership, but because of my background, it's mostly been in the education and youth servicing areas.
Let's stay there for a second. In the video, you talked about this new educational paradigm. Can you speak more to that? And is it being embraced by the students? Is it being embraced by faculty, administration? Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, the new paradigm, and to be honest with you, the paradigm I feel has been pushed further because of COVID and because of things that are going on. It is a better and a deeper understanding of knowing the value of the culture and climate within an organization, within a school, and how it directly impacts the outcomes that we want to see from the students. Hands down, period. We want to see outcomes, right? We want kids to do better. We want to see results. But the pathway of getting those results, we are now realizing and seeing more than ever before that the environment, the connectivity that we are having with those students is that direct outcome to get the results, to get the kids to where they need to be. Additionally, the outcomes that were traditional aren't the original traditional outcomes. You know, what we considered to be a job back when you and I were younger is different than what a job is now. So because of the pandemic and the loss of connectivity with kids and loss of connectivity and understanding different ways that we can learn and operate and work, that new paradigm has shifted forward so much. And to the other point that you're saying, is it being embraced?
Yeah.
Some are not. You know, one of the things I always tell my schools all the time, specifically during the pandemic, is when we get back, don't you dare say, let's get back to business as usual.
Yes.
Don't you dare. I always say you never let a crisis go to waste. You never let a crisis go to waste. We were in a crisis. You don't let it go to waste. You learn more. And when you go back, you start implementing, doing things different. We've learned more. And unfortunately, there's some schools and some organizations that they feel like they want to get back to the way it used to be. And it's just not. The kids are ready. The kids are rolling.
Great segue about going back. We're going to go back before we go forward. We're going to put two pictures on the screen. I want you to describe the person in each one of those pictures. It's a then and now. Let's take a look.
That's back in the day.
Talk to us about the gentleman on the left.
Yeah,
your right, and my right, your left.
Yes, yeah, my high school. That was me in high school. You can see I had hair then. I want to just show some pictures of you. You probably were rolling a full head of hair too.
Are you contemplating where you are right now? Was that in your game plan, or were you thinking about something else as you began to go to college?
When I was going to college, my senior year, I made the determination that I wanted to be an art teacher. I was very good at art. I know people don't realize I can paint or draw anything. I'm actually a classically trained artist.
Nice.
And I realized that I wanted to teach. And I had some amazing educators in my life that really helped guide me and just in life. And I realized, you know what, I love teaching. I love connecting with people. I'm good at art. That's what I wanted to do. So when I was in this picture, my senior year, I already knew that I wanted to go to school for art. I ended up going to Kutztown University for it. I was focused on that. I did not ever think that I would be a school principal. I did never think that I'd be a superintendent. I never thought that I would be a speaker. Although, even in high school, because I was in student council, I was class president, all that stuff. I was in front of people. I never had a problem talking in front of people. Like never. I never was nervous. I'm a preacher's kid. My dad was a minister.
Oh, I didn't know that. You're a PK.
Yeah, I'm a PK. I'm a PK. And so getting in front of people was not, it was nothing. It was never a problem. When we would have assemblies and, class presidents, Steve Bollar, could you introduce them? Yeah, I can introduce them. Not a problem. What's your name? What you doing? Hey, everybody, let's get you I just did it. It was so when you're thinking about who I was before to who I am now, the progression that I've had from then to now makes perfect sense. Then I don't think if I was to go back and talk to myself then and say, hey, you're going to go do this, I don't think I would be afraid. I wouldn't be like, no. I'd be like, really? Because that was me. I was that kind of person. So that's interesting. Good thought. Good conversation on that. Yeah.
That's a great question. What would the adult Steve say to the teenage Steve based on how you've lived your life up to now? Great question.
Yeah.
I would say from time to time, I've seen you in action. You talk about some pros and cons of being tall. I think we have a picture that may highlight one of those cons. Do you want to speak to that?
Oh yeah, I just did this one. Actually, I did this on my way out here today. Man, one of the problems is being in an airplane. And I took this picture because as you can see, those seats, the headrest does not move. It's stationary. Some airplane seats, the headrest moves, some it's stationary. So it being stationary, it's not at my head. It's not even at my neck. It's in my back. So I'm hunched over because, the curve of the seat, it's supposed to have your head there and then your swell of your back kind of fits in there. No, I'm like this, just sitting there. And and it was a small plane on top of it. I'm hunched down even to crawl into it. So yeah, that's part of it.
For folks who don't know you, how tall are you?
I'm 6'7". I'm a solid, I'm actually 6'7" and a quarter, but I don't care about the quarter. It's just I'm 6'7". I'm 6'7". I'm a solid 6'7"
sure at
tall.
times in your life, people thought you should be on the basketball court and not in the classroom. How have you dealt with that?
Well, that's my whole life. My speaking name is Stand Tall Steve, and I got that name simply for the fact it's very outrageously obvious that I'm tall. My parents named me Steve. It works, but a part of my message, a big part of my message is the expectations that people have of you, and are you going to step into that, or are you not going to step into it? Why me? Why not me? And in high school, actually junior high and high school, I stepped full throttle into what it is that people expected of me. You're a 6 foot, at the time, 6'6" black boy, you play ball. Okay, that's what I do. Now, mind you, I'm not athletically gifted. I'm not, but I work hard. So I worked hard at playing basketball. I practiced hard, I worked hard, and I got pretty good. I got quality. I was a quality player. And then when I went on to college, I went to the college. I wanted to, I think I'm going to join the team. I'm going to show them what I got. I did not get a scholarship. I didn't get a scholarship, but I joined in a basketball tryout. The first tryout, I went there and I showed them what I had, man. I was, and you know how the upperclassmen, they come at you, right? They want to show you. Didn't work with me. Went to the second tryout. I even dunked on an upperclassman. You couldn't tell me. The assistant coach pulled me aside halfway through and he said, I see what you're doing. You're doing good, man. You're doing all right. And like they try not to bump your head up or anything, but I can honestly say it was one of my best times ever. So after the second tryout day, I went back to my dorm room. My knees hurt, my back hurt, I'm tired. I turned and I looked at myself in the mirror. And I said, what in the world am I doing? basketball was not my love.
Right.
I didn't love basketball. What I did love, I loved art. I loved music. I loved connecting with people. I loved teaching because my minor is music. I'm a trumpet player also, by the way. So I said, I'm not getting any scholarships. I'm doing this for what reason? To prove what? I never went back.
Wow.
I didn't go back to any other tryouts. I just stopped. Can I still play? Yeah, I can play. Can I dunk the ball? Yeah, I can dunk the ball. But I was done. And I focused on what it is that would really make me me. You know?
I love it. I love it. Stand tall, Steve. My first book is called From Average to Awesome, Lessons for Living Extraordinary Life. You've gone from art teacher to teacher to principal to superintendent to now author, speaker, consultant, TEDx speaker. Tell us about that journey, or highs and lows, or highlights from making that evolution to where you are now, traveling around the world, helping universities and schools stand tall.
Yeah, it's like I said, when I got out of high school, you know, I went to school for art education. I wanted to be an art teacher. So I moved on, went through school. I was very fortunate. I got a job right out of college because, let's be honest with you, most schools have one art teacher in them. It's not like there's a ton of art teacher jobs running around here, right? So I was able to get an art teacher job right away. I taught pre-K to third grade art. Little tiny people. I mean, I barely saw them. I did step on some. We settled out of court. They're fine. They're fine. Don't worry about it. But I remember the transition from art teacher to administrator. It was my building principal. We had an observation. He did a teacher observation. I mean, it was a good observation. And we were doing our post-observation conversation. And just before I was ready to leave, he says, "Oh, by the way, Steve." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Make sure you go back to school to get your master's." And I was like, "Okay, thanks." And he was like, "Oh, hold it. I don't like the way you said that. Sit down." I was like, "What?" He said, "Steve, I'm serious. Go back, get your master's. You know, he thought, go up the pay scale, da da da." I said, "To be honest with you, sir, I don't know what to get it in. I know I do, but I don't know if I want to do art." He said, "Well, you could do anything. You could get it in art. You could get it in music. You could be a principal. You could." I said, "Whoa. I could be a principal?" And he's like, "Yeah, you could be a principal." I said, "But I'm an art teacher." He says, "So?" Isn't that something? And so that remainder of the year, I really dug into looking at school administrators, school principals, what they were like, what they're about. And I came to realize something. I don't like school principals. I do not like school administration. I didn't like anything about it because I was an art teacher. You know, hug a tree, draw, paint, expression. School administration at that time was very rigid. It was formalized. It was bureaucracy. It was, And then I started to think, why not me? Why not bring that to school administration? Make it your own. So that's what I decided. I moved that trend. I became a principal. There were some learning curves and stuff like that, but ultimately I was able to do this. I was able to bring that creativity into it, bring the culture climate into it and things like that. And because of the way I did it differently, people started asking me, "Hey, how do you do this?" I started talking. I've never been afraid to talk in front of people. I connected with NSA. And then from there, I learned about speaking, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. Became an assistant superintendent. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Once I became a building principal and people started coming to me and saying, "Hey, tell us about how you're doing this." And that's when the light came on, like, one day, this is what I'm going to do. And now I'm doing it.
We're going to talk a little bit more about your speaking career. You mentioned NSA. For folks who aren't familiar, it's National Speakers Association. But there's a question in the chat room. Let's go there. How would you advise a high school student who is deciding on how to get a quality college education? What factors would you communicate?
Oh, well, there you go. When you're talking to your high schoolers, and to be honest with you, many of them they cannot fathom the concept of adulthood the rest of your life. And it's pretty heavy on a high school student to pick a major sometimes, or to pick a direction of what they want to do, which is going to pretty much direct them for the rest of their lives. That's a big, heavy lift. So one of the best things I can do, and a lot of people do this, is exposure, exposure, exposure. Visit as many schools as possible. Talk to different people as much as possible. I mean, they always say, oh, the jobs of tomorrow aren't even created yet. That's the absolute truth. They're not. So when you're deciding on the quality college or where you want to go, you have to look at the value of the programs that the different colleges and universities have, the variety of it. Is this person an independent thinker? Is this a person who thinks creatively or differently? The question becomes is, show me evidence in these different colleges and schools where other people have done that. There are some people, I'm not an independent thinker. I like the status quo. I like things in line. Well, if that's the case, show me evidence of how that is. So sometimes those questions need to be asked, and as an adult who's guiding these children through this, you may have to step in and ask those questions for them because they may not know the questions to ask yet.
That's good. That's good. While you're out there as this educational culture expert, what are some of the challenges, or what is the number one challenge you're facing from schools, administrators, and the like?
Well, if you ask me that pre-COVID, it'd be one thing. The post-COVID is another thing. Let's go with post-COVID. The issue that I'm finding, like very heavily in a lot of schools, is the fact that over the last year and a half, kids have not been in the building. And even if you are one of those schools that did have kids in the building, this year is just not the same. We have, for example, you have an 8th grade student. The last time they were in that building, they were 6th grade. So therefore, the students are coming back, and the adults, the teachers, staff members, are assuming that all the students have had healthy relationships with adults while they were away. So now that they're coming back, let's roll with it. Yeah. Students may not have had healthy relationships with adults. Even if you're in a well-off house, people were trying to survive over the last year and a half. So sometimes these kids got away with stuff that they would have never really gotten away with. They were running the roost. Who knows? So now they're coming back into school feeling like, hey, walk around like George Jefferson. I'm the man. I'm the lady, right?
I can relate to that example.
You can relate to that example. Millennials, just stay with me. So anyway, so they're walking around and they're not following the rules. They're not doing school. The teachers in turn are now being frustrated because the teachers are dealing with educator guilt because they know the kids are behind. They want to get them where they need to go. They feel guilty that they're not there yet. But the kids, they haven't had healthy adult-child relationships, so there's an issue there. So the teachers now do what? They lean on discipline. Let's get them disciplined to get them straight. This is not a discipline issue. It's a relationship issue. That's what's going on. We need to reestablish healthy, keyword is healthy, adult-child relationships in school. I'm seeing it again and again and again. It's everywhere right now. And so we need to back up. And that's one of the things I'm working a lot with these schools is helping them reestablish that culture climate with healthy adult-child relationships.
I know when you talk about the culture climate, you talk about the look of the school as well. We have a clip that we're going to show you. I believe it's from Jostens. I want to understand your relationship with Jostens Renaissance. What's happening? The look of the school. Let's watch this and get your feedback.
As we've talked about before, Jostens Renaissance is all about improving the climate and culture of your school through the recognition of students and staff for doing the right thing. This month's focus is the look of the school. As you walk around your school, how many areas of your school can you walk into and go, wow, this is really cool area? Probably not as much as you think. So what we did is we put together a group of teachers, and for the older grades, we can put kids together, put them all together, and this is basically your interior decorating committee. I call it the WOW committee. And this committee whole focus is to walk around the school, look at different areas, and make them wow. That's it. Make them wow. If you can, give them a little bit of a budget, but they go in and they decorate the area. They make it look absolutely amazing. When you first walk into your school, your main entrance, is it wow? Is it over the top? Is it amazing? You want the environment of the school to really reflect what's most important and to make it most conducive to the learning that takes place in that school.
Wow. Wow. Talk to us, Stand Tall, Steve, about that WOW committee.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. When we're talking about culture and climate, a lot of times we think about the relationships of the school. We talk about traditions that we have. We talk about events that are taking place, the feeling that you have. Well, a big piece of that is the environment itself. What does the environment say? When a school has identify what they respect and value, you have your mission, you have your vision, whatever it might be. Does the walls, the classroom, the different areas also reflect that? You can talk about it as much as you want about how great the school is, how our traditions, how this, that, and this. What showcases that, right? I don't know what it is. Somehow schools got a great deal on beige and gray paint. I don't, it's just, you go into a school, it's gray and beige paint everywhere. What in the, what? There is nothing wrong with putting some color on the wall. There is not, if you don't like it, paint it over. Murals, there's different things that will showcase. You know that one of the most successful networks right now out there is HGTV, right? Because people want their interior home. They want their environment to feel and look a certain way. Why not school? Get a WOW committee together. Start looking around the building. Areas that are not WOW, that do not reflect what it is you respect and value, change it, make it WOW.
I love it. I love it. You talk areas that aren't WOW. We have you again, another clip talking about an area of the school that people don't tend to WOW. I believe it's the staircase. Let's take a look.
When people are walking around in a school, specifically in the hallways and even the stairs, where are they looking? Down. People, for some reason, they look down when they're walking. And it's important to look down when you're going up the steps because you don't want to trip and fall. On the steps, the flat part of the steps, put something there. What I did in my school is I put some positive quotes on there. Each year we have a different theme, so I put the theme on the steps. And as they go up the steps, they can see each year that specific theme. A lot of different other things you can put on the steps. You can put multiplication numbers and facts on the steps. You can put positive words, positive quotes. There's a lot of different things that you can do that. It's continually showing what's most important to your school all the time. A lot of schools, they have murals on the walls. Why not put them on the steps as well? It's a great way to really reinforce what's most important in your Johnston's Renaissance School.
Stand tall. What goes into your mind with these ideas, the creativity, the working on the exterior as well as the interior? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, one of the things, like within the education world where I kind of live, I'm known as the idea guy. All right. So on top of the stand tall, I'm the idea guy. It's coming up with ideas that actually work. You know, I pull on my artistic background. That's part of it. I try to pull that artistic background. How would an artist think of it? What is creative way of doing it? And it's not just for the fun sake of it all. Like, for example, that flat part of the steps, putting something there. We can put colors and things, but why not put things that directly connect to what you respect and value? Then it reinforces what's most important in your school. And you might think that that's not a big deal, but over time, you're like, wait a second, there's information there about what we respect and value. I go into the restrooms, they're painted. It showcases what we respect and value. So when you're thinking of different ideas, coming up with different things, always relate it back to what you respect and value, what your mission, what your values are. If it does not connect directly with it, don't do it. Stop it. All right? Because a lot of those little things, they're cute every now and then, but that's just a little tiny Band-Aid for a bad climate and culture. You want things that are sustainable, and that's what that is.
What you respect and what you value. As a result of your momentum, you accomplished something that this year that a lot of speakers, including myself, have not done yet. You did a TED Talk. Got a picture of you standing in front of the TED logo. I want you to tell us a little bit about what that was like, getting ready for it, actually being on stage. Again, you're at the top and you spent a number of years teaching and leading a school. Now you're in the speaking industry as well. And look at you. Look at you. Question.
Yeah.
Did you use a lot of your material from the 2 books you've written in your talk, or did you flesh out something entirely different? And we want to show folks the books as well. Stand Tall Leadership. Yes, I feel good.
Yeah. Stand Tall Leadership. That's what it is, baby. So my TED Talk. I'll be honest with you. This speech that I gave for my TED Talk is completely different than anything else that I've done. There is a whole...
That was a risk. That was a risk.
Oh, well, it almost... It evolved. And people who are not familiar with the TED Talk, they curate their speakers. It's not just like you apply and, hey, let's pick you. It's a curating process. There's interviews, there's conversations, there's let's dig deep into who you are. Let's dig deep into why you think this. What angle would work best in this? So as much as, especially when you're a professional speaker, you're like, I got a great speech, let's do it. And they even said, sometimes professional speakers are the hardest ones to work with in a TED Talk because they have their mind set in a certain way. So there's a process that they go through. And through this, my TED Talk, it dove down into kind of almost what we're talking about now, how I ended up where I am.
Yeah.
And the title of my speech is Why Not Me? And it talks about the process of my life where certain events took place and I thought that, that couldn't be me. I couldn't do that. And then you realize, well, why not me? Why can't I do this? So we go into that. And then also, similar like I told you about my basketball story, about me playing basketball, why it's not me. And then also on the other end, when hard things happen to you, you sit back and why me? So it was a fabulous process. Worked it all through. And ultimately, you come up with, it's only like 18 to 20 minute speech. It's not a long speech. And, in our world, we knock out an hour, 45 minutes, give me an hour. What, 2 hours? I got
Give me 90 minutes.
Give me 90 minutes. Yeah, right. So slimming it all down to a shorter time span, being really in depth. Now, the one thing I can say is I didn't use a teleprompter at all. That's just, that's how I roll. Yes. I don't, they're like, you want a teleprompter? I'm like, for what? I'm giving a speech. That's just how I roll. So great process. I'm very, very glad I got the opportunity to do it. I had applied many different times, but ultimately it was a different way that I actually got in through talking to people and connecting and networking and eventually it kind of rose to that. So I'm very excited about that opportunity.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Like I said to people in the beginning of the show, I thought I worked endlessly, that my spirit was indefatigable, but Stand Tall Steve has me beat. There's another side, there's more sides. And I want to introduce some of those sides to him right now. I think he really knows how to do Halloween. Let's look at this picture and tell us if Stand Tall Steve knows how to do Halloween. Let's take a look. All right.
Yeah.
What's happening here, Stand Tall?
That is New York Comic-Con, and that is my son down in the middle there as Spider-Man, his girlfriend to the left of him, and then my daughter, my baby girl, who's Storm right behind her. And I don't care what you say, I make an awesome Nick Fury. You can't stop me, man. That's one of my things. It's like my son and my baby girl, we're really into Comic-Con and dressing up and Marvel, and that's what they want to do. And I'm like, I'm all in. Let's go. Let's do it. One of the best jobs I have is being a dad and, just going and doing. And that was a fun event that we did. Got to walk around, take pictures with people, enjoy the situation. Yeah.
Let's keep going. Dad, but also Boy Scout troop leader. Let's take a look at these pictures. What's happening here? I see your children. I see the Scout troop. Talk to us.
Yeah, this is my crew. That's my son, Aiden. He's 17. Just turned 17. He's 6'5". Yeah, he's close to my heart. Yeah. Then in the middle there, that's my oldest daughter, Hawanya. Absolutely love the death out of her. And then my baby girl. That's my baby girl on the left side. But yeah, Boy Scout. My son is a Boy Scout. I was a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout when I was younger. I eventually had dropped out, but my son stayed with it. He's been in Cub Scouts since he was in kindergarten, all the way until now, and he's getting together now his Eagle Scout project. So he's going to, hopefully get that wrapped up, and by this summer, he will be an Eagle Scout, which is the highest level rank in scouting that you possibly can. He's got Order of the Arrow. He's doing it. I can't complain at all in any way. He's
you
great
find time? You're traveling, you're speaking, you're grilling, which we'll get to later. You're parenting. When do you find time?
You maximize the time that you have. Great communication with who you're with, whoever you're living with. Great communication. You just make the time, and I think the big piece of it is you are present to wherever it is that you are. So if I'm here at the school, I'm present. I am here. You have me. If I am at home, I'm present. I'm here. Now, if I'm going down to my office to work, I'm going to my office to work.
Right.
I'm present. You need me out, turn it off. And you have to be able to do that. Give the people the time that they need, be present where it is. I mean, I have scaled back some things. I mean, there's a few other committees and boards that I've sat on that I'm like, all right, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. But for the most part, those key things that I really love, I stay with it. I really do.
When you said you got to give the people, I was thinking you got to give the people.
Oh yeah.
Give the people what they want.
What they want, right?
There's a question in the chat room. Let's get to it. It says, do you believe today's standard educator is really equipped to educate today's youth? If so, or if not, why? What do you think?
Yeah, number one, yes. I do think that they're equipped to do it. Right now, they're just overwhelmed. Like I said, truthfully, again, the pandemic thing. Pre-pandemic, I don't know if they really 100% were. Through the pandemic, I don't think you realize how much educators learn. And it's not just so much about use of technology. Their minds in education has opened up that we now realize there's multiple ways that kids can learn. We now realize the necessity of making those genuine connections with students. We now realize that climate and culture plays a huge, huge factor in moving kids forward and understanding them, giving them grace. Now, the issue comes into play, is what I talked about a little bit before, is that now that we are back, there's some stressors and some things they're kind of getting in the way of what education needs to be. But do I think that the educators of today, the people that are in education now, are ready to equip the youth? Yes. The concepts that are coming out with curriculum is amazing. Granted, I don't get political and everything like that, but the new commissioner of ed that for education director in the nation, his mindset and understanding of what education truly can be, it's spot on there. So do I think that they are? Yes, 100%. We just need to get some of those distractors kind of moved out of the way so that we can really take it off.
Can you speak to some of those distractors? Are they self-created, or are they environmentally created, or a combination?
A little bit of both. Yeah, and I think environmentally created, I think that the systems that we have in place currently, like I said, there's some people that still want it the way that it used to be. Some people don't want it the way it used to be. We got to get past that. We have to have some conversations about that. Is the skill set there for these educators to instruct and guide the youth? Yes, we got it there. But some of the bureaucracy, some of the red tape that's in the way that's preventing these things from happening, just saying, hey, give it a go. Give it a shot. Why not me? Let it go and let them show what they can do. Now, some of the kids are not stepping up. They're not doing things. Yes, some of the more traditional ways are better equipped to handle and help them. But that's part of it is, let's take that discernment of where kids are and fit them into where they need to be. It's totally possible.
What are some of the topics that educators K through 12, in addition to the traditional topics, but what are some of the new trending and vogue topics and exercises and theories that today's educators are pouring into our students?
Well, a big piece of it is and this has started actually back with No Child Left Behind. I know everybody has some issues with that, but the understanding and the concept of teamwork, working in teams, working in groups. Very rarely are you going to find any classrooms with straight rows of students sitting there getting lecture. Granted, there are some that are still out there, but it's more the understanding of the collaboration. What is your role in this bigger picture? What is your role in doing this? We utilize Google groups and teams. So education is moving closer to the way that work happens. So this way they have more experience with it.
Good.
I remember when the new testing came out, everybody was freaking out because all the tests were going to be on computers. These kids can't type, they can't do it. Guess what they're doing just fine now?
Yeah.
Using the computer, they're typing, they're making it happen. And that is reflective of the way that work happens now, right? Also, in education, I think that there's a better understanding and flow as it relates to the understanding of entrepreneurship. No longer, because schools are very much pushing towards go get a job, go to a job. There's some people are not going to get a job. They're going to be entrepreneurs. They're going to work on their own. And kids realize this. And now schools are starting to shift more. Like within a lot of the state standards now, there is, in order to graduate, you must have financial literacy. All right. We're not talking finance. We're not talking investment, financial literacy, understanding how to use basic money to live, small business, entrepreneurship in order to graduate. If that doesn't say that's a shift, I don't know what does.
It's a major shift. And you shift my mind completely every time we talk. I'm like, is this Walter Mitty, his ideas, and you still find time to hit the grill. We want to show a little bit of your work on the grill. Let's take a look, because we believe you even get into contests. So a second place, I see ribs, I see brisket, I see wings, I see an egg grill. Talk to us about you and this skill set.
This is my hobby, man. It's a hobby that's getting a little carried away, but I look at them ribs, man. That's a nice bag. That's a nice box of ribs. I don't care what you say. Look at them tips on them ribs. That's nice. Anyway, you know what it was? I just, I had a gas grill way back in the day, like everybody else. I started watching YouTube and watching stuff on TV, and I'm like, I want to try that. And I started doing it more and more and more. I have 12 grills in my backyard. You see my backyard. Literally, I have 12 different things that you can cook on. And then I took that's the NEBS right there, the Northeast Barbecue Society. They had a little competition and stuff like that. So I went up to Rhode Island and I did that. And I got second place in ribs. And you can hear the announcements here. I'm in a school. Second place in ribs.
Perfect. How's that for authenticity?
Yeah, I know, right? And then fifth place with chicken. And then I ended up getting grand champion overall. So that's my thing, man. I love it. It's just fun.
And when you're not doing this, you do your Facebook Live video cooking shows. Let's see a sample of one of those.
Oh, you got that.
Hey, gang, I know this is after the fact. I already did all the cooking already. I just wasn't in the mood to do any Facebook Live, but now I'm showing you the aftermath. Usually I always show you what's going on before. I'm going to show you the after. All right, I'm taking these puppies off. I already checked the temp. We're at 165 on all of them. And what needs to be at 165, y'all? Chicken thighs. Look how beautiful these suckers are. What? Oh, yes.
That's it, man.
Oh, yes.
I love it, man.
We have someone in the chat room, Dr. Steve Jones says, I've seen the 12 grills in the pizza unit too.
Oh, yeah. That's right, man. I just got I got my pizza oven set up now. And then my wife, she got me a barrel grill, a barrel smoker kit. So you build it yourself. They have the instructions and everything. I'm drilling holes and everything. And so I did some ribs on it. Turned out great. And I'm just like, my wife's like, you know what? It's your hobby. Go on, and they benefit from it. They get great food. So, because after my fourth grill, my wife's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I love this. And she's like, just go ahead and go. And what you going to do? Go on.
I love the fact that you do it all year round. You're just not a spring griller. It's all year round.
You dig into some of my videos. It's snow on the ground and I am out there, wind whipping in my face, like, look at this chicken. Great.
And FYI, Dr. Stephen Jones, who made the comment in the chat room, he's an educator as well at Villanova, and he's written a number of books. We went to college together. I was his roommate my sophomore year, and I'm sure you guys have gotten together a number of times. There's a question in the chat rooms. Stand tall, Steve. It says, hi, I'm curious. How do you deal with the person or educator on paper? The person's an educator on paper. However, that person should not be an educator or teacher. You can tell they were in it for monetary reasons. So it sounds like the question is, what's in the window is not what's in the store. Yes, the person on paper is an educator, but based on his or her experiences, they're coming up small. Any advice?
Well, here's the thing. Number one, I'll be honest with you. Anybody who says they're going to education for monetary reasons, you ain't doing it for monetary reasons. You are not getting paid. Even a bad teacher's not getting paid enough. But anyway, I digress. I think that comes true in almost any kind of profession, though. You have some people who can put stuff down on a resume, looking great. There's some people who can interview phenomenally well. I'll give a good example. I hired a vice principal one time when I was at my one building. On paper, oh man, he had it together. Came out of the classroom, had all these great experiences. His father was a well-known superintendent in the area. I mean, everyone knew this guy. He interviewed unlike anybody else. Then I get him in there. This arrogant dude just didn't listen, just thought he knew everything. It was a hot mess. I was just like, he got to get out of it. This, So as much as you may have those things, you have certain people who just do not, they don't listen to get help. There's some people you just can't help. I always believe there's 4 different kinds of people you just can't help. You can't help people who don't think they need it. You cannot help people who know they need it, but don't want it. You cannot help people who do not want it from you. And you cannot help people who are unwilling to do what is necessary to get it done. So if you have people like that, you just can't help them. So what you can do is you can work with them at the compliance level. So what I mean by the compliance level is your contract. This is compliance. This is what's expected. So compliance is a form of accomplishment. It's a low level of accomplishment. What you want is commitment. But if there are people who are not willing to do what is necessary to be committed to get the extra thing, you have to work with them at the compliance level. And that's pretty much all you can do. Hold them accountable at that level.
It's good. It's good. Steve, were you ever at a point where you said you're not growing as much as you want to, that you've leveled off, you wonder what else is out there? Have you ever reached that spot? Or if not, what keeps the fire burning for you to work with these educators, administrators, the students? They love you. What keeps the fire burning? So either of those 2 questions.
Well, I'll actually hit both of them. I'll hit both of them. When I was a building principal, it was one school that I was there for 8 years as building principal. By year 8, that place, it was running so smooth. The climate culture was there. Schedule was tight. Kids knew me. Community knew me. It was going. I was not growing as a professional anymore. I was just, truthfully, I'd say by year 5, 6, it was chugging, it was going, boom. I should have moved. I should have made a step up to superintendent, assistant soup, something. So at year 8, I realized that I wasn't connecting with kids the same way. I wasn't connected with the community the same way. Or matter of fact, I just wasn't doing it better.
Yeah.
All right. My plateau is there. I didn't push myself further. So I needed to move on. And that's when I moved on to become an assistant superintendent and superintendent. Back to the other half of the question as to what keeps me going now. It goes back to, is a lot of people have heard, what's your why, right? What's your why? That's what keeps me going. I desperately, and I truly mean this with every fiber of my being, I desperately want schools to continually be better. I see so clearly how that can happen. And I remember as a principal and assistant superintendent and superintendent, I knew what I was doing, but I had a hard time putting it into words in order to train and explain to others. I have that now. I know how to put it into words, how to put it into workshops, how to consult with people in order to help their schools be better. And I so desperately want leaders to be better in schools. I so desperately want schools to be better. I mean, the person said before, are they equipped to handle these students and stuff? Yes, they are. But there's that climate culture piece, there's other leadership pieces, there's idea pieces that need that connection, and teach them. That's what I want. I'm still a teacher. Teach them and help guide them through that. That's my why. That's what I want to have happen so outrageously desperately.
Keep going with that. Keep going with that. So explain your stand tall philosophy. We got a little bit of it in the beginning, but when you're expounding standing tall leadership or standing tall as students,
right,
what's the essence of that message?
Well, the essence of my stand tall philosophy revolves around physically being tall. I always say, it doesn't matter if you're 4'2" or you're 7'8", you can stand tall in all you do. There are 3 things that connect directly to the world of tall people that goes directly to leadership, education, and those things, all right? 3 things. Number one thing is tall people, we don't blend in. We don't blend in. If you're in a crowd, pre-COVID, but if you're in a crowd, you can see tall people. We stick out like chiclets. You can't miss us, right? This is the thing. Leaders are not supposed to blend in. Leaders are not supposed to blend in. They're supposed to stand tall. They're supposed to stand out. If you're looking to blend in with everyone else, you're not a leader. Now, here's the thing. We all say everybody's a leader. No, they're not. There's some people who don't need to be leaders. No. Just because you're in a role doesn't mean you're a leader. So therefore, it's not your job. There's some people who have to be followers. There's some people who have to do the work. You know, everybody does the work, but number one, leaders don't blend in. Tall people don't blend in. Number two, tall people, we have a different view of the world. We have a different vision. If you ever been in a crowd, have you ever been in a crowd with a tall friend? What do? You push your tall friend to the front, you grab their hand, you say, go. Why? Because that tall friend can see where the end game is. When you're a leader and you see where the end game is. You see where it is, and go, follow you. Now, here's the thing. When you're with that tall friend in a crowd and you're trying to follow them to get to where you need to go, is it ever a straight shot? No. They go this way. They go that way. They go this way. They go, because leadership is not a straight shot. If you're the leader, you have a different view. You have the vision. You see where it is. It's never what you think it's going to be. I always say this: a vision excites my future, but frustrates my present. It excites my future, but frustrates my present. I'm excited about where the vision is. I see the future. Oh, it's compelling. It's exciting. But I'm frustrated right now because I'm not there yet. The goal is to take that frustration, turn it into motivation to keep you going. So that's number two. Third thing about being tall and leadership moving forward is, you saw it in that picture. Tall people, we don't fit. We don't fit in cars. We don't fit in airplanes. We don't fit in clothing, shoes, doorways, ceiling fans, shower heads, spider webs. These are all major issues in the world of tall people. But here's the thing. Just because we don't fit, did we just give up? No. If I said, you know what, I don't fit on airplanes, so I ain't going anywhere, I would not have a job.
That's good.
I have to suck it up and make it work. Is it comfortable? No. Do I do it anyway? Yes. In leadership, it's not always going to fit. Suck it up, Buttercup. Get to work. It's not going to be comfortable.
Suck it up.
That's what it is.
Buttercup. I love it. And you also say, don't live in the past. We have a brief video we want to speak where it's you highlighting the significance of not living in the past. Let's take a look.
Hey gang, Steve Bollar, also known as Stand Tall Steve. I want to share a quote with you this time. The past is a place of reflection, not of residency. I'll say it again. The past is a place of reflection, not of residency. Now, this quote all talks about what's happened in the past. If something happened in the past that isn't good, you weren't happy with it, you didn't get the results that you want, you cannot stay there. You only can reflect on what has happened. If you're staying in residency and you're setting up camp in what has happened in the past and not moving forward, you'll never get any growth. Your students won't do better. Your leadership won't do better. Your relationships won't do better. You know, a lot of times the past focuses on depression and the future deals with anxiety. Because when you're depressed, you think about, oh, that happened, I feel so bad about that. And then you get anxiety about, oh, what's to come? We got to look at that middle spot and we got to be positive about the future. Reflection is supposed to help us grow. We're supposed to learn from reflecting on the past, not staying there and wallowing in it, right? Don't beat yourself up. If you did something in the past that wasn't good, you didn't get the results you want, you did something wrong, learn from that. Don't beat yourself up. Have your quick little pity party and move on. You can do this. You can walk away from a mirror, right? Mirror is used for reflection. You see your reflection, but eventually you can walk away from it, right? Same thing with your past. You reflect on the past a little bit, then you walk away from it. You keep it moving, all right? The past is the place of reflection, not of residency. My name's Steve Bollar, also known as Stand Tall Steve, and that is your Stand Tall statement.
You talk about keeping it moving, keeping it moving.
Yeah.
Great words, great words. Time is getting away. I want to share one more aspect of who Stand Tall Steve. This is what happens during the holiday time in your house. Let's take a look. when do you have the time?
Man.
When do you have the time?
Well,
what I understand, your family, you guys won the contest. You were featured on Channel 10 last year for the most decorated, light-centric house.
Yeah, we were, you know, you could send your video in, you know, so I did a little video, and, you know, you use a little editing thing on your phone, and I send it off in there, and they say, no, I'm on the news, baby. Yeah, it's a tradition, something that we do. The day after Thanksgiving, everybody, you know, my 3 kids, wife, myself, we get everything out, we spend the whole weekend, and it takes a couple of days, we put it all up, and we keep it up all, you know, through the whole holiday season. It's just something that we do. Each year we add a little another blow up or add a little something to it. Because the first year it was just lights over the garage, you know, front door, and then we went a little higher, and then we did the next one, and we did the next one. So it ended up to this. It's just fun. It's fun. That's what I say. Wherever you are, you're present in that. That's what it is.
What I've learned doing the research and learned as I've gotten to know you, you still got that child inside of you. You're getting older numerically, all that stuff, less hair, but from a creative, ambitious, curiosity-driven, you're still that same person.
Yeah, I try to be, man. I love having fun. Like I said, I'm an elementary guy at heart. Like I taught pre-K to 3rd grade art. I was an elementary principal. I mean, I was a superintendent of K-12, but that fun, that energy, if I'm not bringing that all the time, or at least most of the time, because sometimes it gets tiring. If I'm not bringing that, then, you know, I've lost myself. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to tap into your inner speaker right now, because we conclude every show the same way. Whether you're a speaker or not, we ask the guests to give us a 30-second keynote, something for us to consider the rest of the day, next month, next year, as we continue to evolve as professionals, as individuals. I'm gonna get the mic ready for you. I want you to lean into the camera. You're gonna have 30 seconds. Mr. Speaker, educator, former president of the National Speakers Association of Philadelphia for 2 years. Give us some of your best stuff.
Hey, everybody. As you know, my name is Steve Bollar, Stand Tall Steve. And it doesn't matter if you're 4'2" or 7'8", you can stand tall in everything that you do. Now, my tagline is, when you stand tall, you don't think small. When you stand tall, you don't think small. What does that mean? Physically, yeah, you're standing tall. You can't think like a little person. But metaphorically, it means that when you're standing taller, when you're a little bit more, you can't think less. Now, over this time that we've been here at the Dr. James Show, hopefully I gave you something of value. Hopefully you learned something. So now that you have this new information, you're metaphorically standing a little taller. You can't think less than. And if you do, for shame, for shame, for shame. You're standing taller. You're better. You're improved. Take something, apply it to your life, and stand tall through it all. When you stand tall, you don't think small.
I'm standing tall. I'm standing
there you
tall.
Go. That's it.
Stand tall, Steve. Thank you for bringing your wisdom, your experience, your creativity, and your humor and wit to the show today. We love it. We love it. Again, we tell people we provide informational and transformational experiences, and you certainly have led to that as well. For those of you who came, we're not going to see you next week, unfortunately. We're not going to have a show. Why? Because my little one, my heartbeat, my Daisha Jamé Smith is getting married. My daughter is getting married. So next week is a week of preparation, getting ready for that big day. Yes, I'm working on my toast, and we're looking forward to having a memorable time with her. And we'll return the subsequent week, ready to rock and roll, bring some more laughs, some more education, even more fun. But thank you for joining us. Please tell the folks who did not, check our social media out tomorrow. The show will be posted tomorrow. You get a chance to see Steve again if you saw it today. But we want to continue to play a role in how you stand tall, get bigger, and get stronger. Like I always say, you've just been Gym-Pacted.